APUS history friends, welcome. Today we're embarking on a very special time travel adventure. Our destination, the Spanish colonies between 1491 and 1607. Thinking, oh no, another boring history lesson? Don't worry, the stories we're diving into today are way more dramatic than anything on Netflix. Are you ready for this journey? Let's set the time machine. Welcome to the Spanish colonies. Here we are in the bustling world of the Spanish colonies. Today we'll focus on two big questions. 1. How did people work back then? Spoiler, many were forced to work. 2. How was society structured? Think strict hierarchies, almost like a caste system. So, pay close attention, because what we're about to uncover will help you understand how the world we live in today was shaped. The encomienda system. Now let's start with what you're seeing in front of you. This is called the encomienda system. Wait, enco, what now? Let me explain. The Spanish crown told their conquistadors, "We'll give you land and control over the people on it. In return, you must protect them and teach them Christianity." Sounds fair, right? But in reality, the conquistadors exploited the indigenous people, treating them like property and forcing them to work endlessly. Many worked in agriculture or mining from sunrise to sunset under brutal conditions. It was essentially slavery by another name. The devastation of native labor. Have you ever experienced something as overwhelming as the pandemic? Imagine how devastating it was for native populations back then. Here's what they endured. 1. Backbreaking labor every single day. 2. Diseases brought by Europeans like smallpox. 3. Little to no rest or medical care. The result, catastrophic population loss. Some areas saw 90% of their indigenous populations wiped out. Can you even imagine? Entire communities disappeared in just a few decades. It's heartbreaking to think about. This is why it's so important to remember these stories to make sure history doesn't repeat itself. The introduction of African slavery. With native populations declining, the Spanish needed a new source of labor. Enter the transatlantic slave trade. Millions of Africans were forcibly taken from their homelands, transported across the ocean, and enslaved in the Americas. Try to imagine this, being ripped away from your family and home, arriving in a completely foreign land, having no freedom and being forced to work under unimaginable conditions. It's hard to comprehend the scale of this human tragedy, but it's a vital part of understanding the foundation of the modern Americas. The caste system in Spanish America. Now let's look at society itself. Ever notice cliques or hierarchies at school? Multiply that by 100 and you'll get an idea of how rigid Spanish colonial society was. At the top were the Peninsulares, those born in Spain. Next were the Creoles, Spanish people born in the Americas. Below them were the mestizos, mixed European and indigenous, and mulattoes, mixed European and African. And at the bottom, indigenous peoples and Africans. It's shocking, right? This wasn't just social structure. It was a system designed to maintain control and enforce inequality. Plantation economy and forced labor. Have you heard of plantations before? Imagine a farm, then multiply its size by 1,000. Plantations were massive agricultural operations focused on cash crops like sugar and tobacco. Yes, the same sugar we use in our coffee today. But here's the dark side. These plantations relied on forced labor. Enslaved Africans and indigenous people worked endlessly to sustain these economies. The wealth of the Spanish colonies came at a tremendous human cost. Cultural blending and social impacts. Now here's something fascinating. Culture during the colonial era wasn't static. It blended and evolved. Picture this: Spanish cheese and indigenous tacos, African rhythms mixing with Spanish guitar, Catholic traditions blending with indigenous spiritual practices. This cultural fusion created something entirely new. But even as cultures merged, the deep inequalities remained, which is truly disheartening. The long-term effects of colonial labor systems. Some of you might wonder, this all happened so long ago, why does it matter now? Here's the thing. The effects of colonial labor systems are still visible today. Income inequality in Latin America, it traces back to this period. Ongoing racial and social divides, their roots are here. Global trade systems, they were born during these times. The past is like a domino effect, shaping everything we see in the present. Studying history isn't just about the past. It's about understanding our world today and how we can shape the future. Let's wrap this up. Wow, what a journey, right? You've done an amazing job sticking with me through all of this. Let's quickly recap what we've learned today. The Spanish colonies depended on exploitative labor systems. Society was divided into strict racial and social hierarchies. The impacts of these systems are still felt today. See? History isn't just about memorizing dates, it's about connecting the dots between the past, present, and future. Thank you for joining me on this adventure, and I'll see you next time for another exciting story. Until then, keep exploring and questioning the world around you. Nice job.